I don't know anything about Half-Life. Never played it, never researched it, never watched a playthrough. All I know is that it's about a scientist named Gordon Freeman fighting an alien invasion called the Combine, and it's pretty much universally hailed as the greatest video game series in the world. I also know that the series currently ends on a massive, unsatisfying cliffhanger because Half-Life 3 has been in development for over a decade with dick to show for it. God knows why. It's not like Valve is busy between not developing games anymore and barely doing dick to moderate Steam. At time of writing, the big scandal is that games with keylogging and cryptocurrency mining malware are getting onto Steam because Valve doesn't even check to see if Steam games contain actual viruses anymore. Anyway, earlier this year, an independent development team released a game called Hunt Down the Freeman, a fan-made prequel to Half-Life 2. Normally, nobody would care. Fan games are a dime a dozen on sites like GameJolt, but Hunt Down the Freeman is being sold on Steam. Valve is selling a fan-made tie-in to its own flagship franchise on its own storefront, thus implicitly endorsing it as an official Half-Life tie-in game. And judging from the huge number of requests that I got to review this thing, even for a fan base as desperate as Half-Life, this is one game that's not better than nothing. There was also a lot of skullduggery around the game's development, but we're going to save that for the end of the review. To make sure I didn't go into this thing completely blind, I tried the tutorial first. For some reason, the game has two crouch buttons, Control to crouch and Z to go prone, where you slowly and tediously crawl on your stomach to get through really small spaces. About the only other thing the tutorial teaches you is how the platforming works. You press space to jump, but in order to climb over walls, you have to press X to enter what the game calls Parkour Mode, this holsters your weapon, and then jump at a wall and press space repeatedly to climb up the wall until you're hanging from the edge. Then you press space again to climb up. Why are the controls for such a basic command so complicated? Why the hell would I jump headlong into a wall unless I want to climb it? Ditch the stupid-ass parkour mode and just climb walls and chest high obstacles automatically! What were they thinking? You play as Mitchell Shepard, some kind of Black Ops commando who's sent into a laboratory where he encounters another set of Black Ops troops, finds a bunch of dead scientists and soldiers, and runs into some zombies. He gets on a radio, the audio is mixed so badly the conversation is drowned out, and he asks about Freeman, which... why?
We lost Team Check. Got everything. What's your location? Anything about this Freeman guy? Copy.
This entire intro makes absolutely no sense unless you're familiar with the other Half-Life games. We're eventually told this is a Black Mesa site, and I only know that's important because I've played Portal, but we have absolutely no idea what this place is, what it does, why Mitchell's here, why everyone's dead, who Mitchell's team or this other team are, what Mitchell's mission is, how and why Mitchell knows or cares who Freeman is in the first place, or why there are zombies all over the map. Absolutely nothing is explained. You start making your way through a map fighting off zombies with a pistol. The pistol takes at least 6 to 7 shots to down a single zombie, and you get almost no ammo for it. Hope you just inexplicably know that there's a knife behind your starting position that kills the zombies in 3 hits, or else you are fucked. After running through a few hallways, Mitchell gets attacked by a man in an orange armor suit, and he gets Jason Todded to death. For whatever reason, Mitchell swears revenge on the orange man with a really stupid line that's meant to sound badass.
Whatever it takes. Whoever it takes, however long it takes before I die, I will fucking kill you.
A G-man in a suit brings Mitchell back to life and promises to help him get his revenge.
You see, Mr. Mitchell, we cannot let you kill Dr. Freeman yet.
Wait, that's supposed to be Gordon Freeman. I don't know much about Half-Life, but I know that Gordon Freeman has one of the most iconic character designs of all time, and the dude doesn't wear a bucket on his head. So either they couldn't license the character the game is named after, or... oh, sorry, that's supposed to be a big twist.
You will be rewarded with authority, power, and time. The only payment we ask when the time comes. Keep your promise, Mr. Mitchell.
You wander around a hospital looking for a medkit until finally... oh, jeez, what the hell? How do I get it? Ah! Why? Why is the game-critical item hidden underneath an invisible enemy that kills you instantly? This is the only ceiling mouth thing in the entire game. What gives? You run through a hospital with no weapons, come across a dead end until you remember the game has added a stupid-ass prone ability, and Mitchell runs into some soldiers run by Nick. Nick is a completely generic soldier dude voiced by popular YouTuber I Hate Everything.
An HECU? What are Special Forces doing here?
Most every character in the game is voiced by a YouTuber, but because they seem to be comedy YouTubers in a game that's shooting for drama, the line deliveries range from halfway passable to sweet crap who accepted that take. For his part, Nick is voiced by an Englishman who is asked to put on an American accent for a character that's supposed to be Asian. Nick informs Mitchell that the planet has been invaded by an alien race called the Combine, who have already wiped out the world's military. Apparently this is supposed to be set during the 7-Hour War, which is a major bit of backstory in Half-Life, so Mitchell joins the other soldiers in trying to escape the city. The huge, empty, poorly signposted so you're never sure what the hell you're supposed to do city. You just wander around completely lost until you come across a group of soldiers fighting aliens and, okay, I guess I'll just join in whatever they're shooting. The first major problem with Hunt Down the Freeman is that the combat through the entire first half of the game is completely unbalanced and crippled. The two enemies that you fight most often are zombies and these robot-looking dudes, and your primary weapons do almost nothing to either of them. You're loaded down with ammo for machine guns and pistols, and both usually take an entire magazine to still fail to down a single enemy. You have to iron sight aim every single shot because there's no aiming cursor or a way to tell where you're shooting otherwise, and while iron sight aiming, the controls lock up to where moving the mouse barely adjusts your aim. Plus, several guns have scopes on them which are supposed to help with long-range shooting, but the zoom-in effect restricts your vision so you can't see the enemies, so the shooting in general controls like ass. It takes a ridiculous amount of firepower to kill every single enemy, none of the enemies flinch or otherwise react when you hit them, and the rifles all have truly obnoxious recoil. I'm always second-guessing whether I'm even hitting the enemies as I fire and nothing happens. The only weapons with halfway decent damage output are the shotgun, knife, and grenade launcher. Everything else just freaking tickles the enemies. The enemies also have completely tardo AI, not doing anything but march straight towards you, or at times just standing out in the open, making zero attempt to dodge fire or maneuver around your cover. And the robot things have worse aim than stormtroopers, so the only threat in combat is just constantly running out of ammo, since every enemy is such a bullet sponge. But the worst part about the combat is that most of the game's encounters are infuriatingly poorly designed and programmed. I sit here shooting the aliens, there's a truck that replenishes your ammo indefinitely, and your soldier allies constantly respawn. I'm here something like 8 minutes killing a steady stream of enemies and they never stop spawning. I had to play this game with a walkthrough constantly open in another window, and according to said walkthrough, you're supposed to sit here until you've killed 150 freaking enemies. No shit! But get this, if you wander down a side street to your right, the level just ends immediately whether the enemies are dead or not. Many levels are programmed so poorly they end when you hit the end of the stage, regardless of whether the intended objectives are complete. There's a huge fight with a massive number of head crabs in a sewer. I just walked away and stumbled across the exit and got to skip it. And a lot of times enemies will never stop spawning and you're just supposed to instinctively know through magic to run for the exit instead of even attempting to fight. You're thrown into a hotel lobby fighting zombies and there's no exit from this room. Your first instinct is just to kill all the zombies, but they never stop coming. You're just supposed to know to run for an elevator to end the level, and you're just supposed to know by magic when it's arrived. There's a big shootout in a train station later on. You're just supposed to know that the combat is futile and the level only ends when you board a train, and you're just supposed to know which train, and you're just supposed to know it's clear on the other side of this huge-ass room. I get that being badly overmatched and having to run away from the Combine fits with the gritty survival story they're going for, but it's a never-ending confusing guessing game trying to figure out when you're actually supposed to fight the enemies and when you're supposed to run away. There's no consistency and it's never clear what you're supposed to do. After wandering through several completely empty city streets trying not to run out of ammo, Mitchell goes into a hotel. For some reason. You wander around, there are a lot of side rooms with nothing in them, until you come across a table lodged in a door. It looks like I should be able to crouch jump through this gap, but no matter what I do, I can't get through. Okay, is this a barrier? No, I checked the entire rest of the level. There's nowhere else to go. I have to be able to fit through here, but no matter how many times I jump at this gap, it won't freaking let me pass. What the hell? At complete random, the game's collision detection goes to shit, and the game won't let you pass by simple obstacles. The ankle-high railing around this balcony, can't jump over it. This crawl space you're supposed to fit through while prone, the game wouldn't let me go through until I'd exited the game and reloaded a save. You'll periodically just be stopped dead in your tracks by the game just refusing to let you pass through a simple gap that shouldn't even be an obstacle, and I must be crazy unlucky because this happened to me a lot. So all you can do is reload a save and maybe exit the game and hope that eventually the game decides to work right and let you get further into the level. At the top of the hotel, Mitchell meets a sniper named Adam, and I just called him Sniper Guy the entire game because he's super bland and barely even in the game. They have another stilted and awkward conversation where they both try to sound macho and badass for no reason.
I heard that you guys have a plan about getting out of the city.
Maybe.
I went in.
Why?
Asshole, why do you think he wants out of the city? It's been overrun by aliens and our weapons suck ass! They also argue over what killed everyone at Black Mesa at the start of the game.
You guys fucked us over at Black Mesa.
And we just followed orders. They sent us to do the job you guys failed to do.
You killed your own people.
Didn't you? By the time we got there, you guys already killed more than half the Black Mesa staff.
They never explained what happened in the first level. This entire conversation means nothing to people who haven't played Half-Life 2.
Let's not bicker and argue about who killed who.
You run through some more empty city with no real objective until you come across another group of soldiers fighting the aliens. I help them out with a mounted gun, and eventually the soldiers start shooting at me. I figure screw it and start mowing down the ungrateful little bastards, and then the game crashed. In fact, it crashed on me 7 times. So I kill the enemies, and then I can't proceed any further into the level. I tried jumping over this minuscule barrier around the balcony, but it doesn't work, so either there's an invisible wall or the platforming detection shit itself again. The only other possible way forward is to climb over this truck. It looks like you should be able to parkour over it. Get up there. Get up there. Come on, get up there. Get the fuck! I can't move. Why can't I move? I'm frozen in place. What am I even stuck on? It's just empty ground. I can't move! I'm stuck! Shit! I can't dance around the issue any longer. Here's the deal. Hunt Down the Freeman is pretty much impossible to finish as it's coded. You're supposed to be able to parkour over this truck. It just doesn't work. I reloaded saves multiple times, triple and quadruple checked to make sure there was no other way further into the level. It just flat out never worked. Each try at this jump, I either jumped at the truck until I got stuck in the ground, or I actually got Mitchell to grab the top ledge, and then no matter what I did, he wouldn't climb up, or even drop down for another crack at the jump. It always ends with me stuck on the scenery and I can't go any further. The game's platforming and parkour system are so terribly coded that there are several obstacles in the game that are just flat out impossible to traverse. Several levels that are consistently rendered impossible to complete. So how do you make any progress? Well, ultimately the game is a mod of Half-Life 2, and thus cheat codes from Half-Life 2 are still built into it. There's a key to bring up a developer window and view the game's code in real time, and from this window you can trigger cheat codes. You type in SV_cheats_1 to enable cheat codes, and then, among other things, you can type God to make yourself invincible, and you can type no clip to shut off the laws of physics, allowing you to fly and to pass through any barrier, visible or invisible, in the game. You can't beat Hunt Down the Freeman without repeatedly using no-clip to pass through barriers that the glitchy mechanics won't let you cross, or to go through invisible walls that just never drop. There are several points in the game where pre-scripted events completely fail to trigger, and you're left in a level that's impossible to complete. Shortly after the overturned truck incident, there's a second overturned truck that you can't climb. An alien tripod is supposed to blow this truck out of the way so the level can proceed. It just doesn't, regardless of how many times I quit and reload the game. There's no way past but to no-clip through the truck. A few levels later, you're supposed to open a gate so your AI allies can escape a firefight, but none of the dumb bastards move and the level never ends. There's no way to beat the stage other than to no-clip through the invisible wall blocking the exit. I would be hard-pressed to find more than a handful of levels that I could complete without cheating due to a never-ending stream of game-breaking bugs. Almost every time I open the developer window, the game is in the midst of stroking out from repeated error messages. The game just flat out barely works. It's confusing enough having to constantly guess at what I'm supposed to do, but regularly what I'm supposed to do is impossible. Although very rarely you find a funny glitch, like these two soldiers yelling at and hucking grenades at a wall.
Fire in the hole! Light that shit up! Move!
There's a long-ass stretch of road leading to the tripod, but I try running to the thing and come across yet another barrier that I can't cross. Okay, maybe there's another magic spot where I can climb and get further into the shit! Turns out this huge empty street that looks like an actual level, yeah, there's nothing there. You're supposed to magically know that there's a door to the right that leads to the next stage. There's a shitload of wasted empty space making you think that you're supposed to enter the tripod. There's no clue what you're supposed to do. Then you get to an elevator that doesn't seem to go anywhere. Turns out you're supposed to grab a cable, and naturally the pickup function barely works and the game keeps dropping the damn thing, and you take it to the bottom floor to plug in. Ah, shit! The cable is stuck in a wall and it won't come out. So I just no-clip through the level exit. Then you have to cross a room full of claymore mines to reach a computer and shut them off, but it seems completely arbitrary how close you can get to one before it goes off and you instantly die. So you just explode over and over and over again until you get through. Another benefit of being modded from Half-Life 2 is that the game has save functions that allow you to save and reload at absolutely any time. So in times like this, you can save between claymores and not have to do it all in one straight shot. You run into another group of soldiers led by the gloriously camp Colonel Q and a comedy troupe of YouTube-voiced soldiers.
Well, look who we got here, boys. A Black Ops and a Marine. Hoorah.
This is pretty much the only intentionally funny part of the entire game.
If your mother was alive, she'd be proud of you, son.
My mother's dead?
Oh, Colonel, we are so fucked.
At least I hope it's intentional. You don't often see a colonel quoting Shrek.
You might die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
The president, voiced by the YouTuber Keemstar, announces via radio that the nation has surrendered to the Combine.
As Americans, and indeed as human citizens, we have never willingly surrendered to oppression.
In a voice that's suspiciously upbeat for what's meant to be the most dire situation imaginable.
Hard truth remains that we lost this battle for now. And believe me, we will live to fight another day.
Oh, good idea, numbnuts. Announce a future rebellion when announcing surrender. Is he just counting on the Combine not speaking English? The troops decide to flee to the ocean because the Combine don't have any naval forces despite being here to harvest our water. There's a super brief level where you clear out a hall of zombies, easy since I know the knife is the only good weapon. The soldiers get cornered and you have to help them escape by opening a gate only for them to not use the gate because the coding is borked so you no-clip through the level exit. You come across a train station where you shoot at never-ending enemies until you figure out you're supposed to board a train and escape the city. Are you starting to notice how every level has something that pisses you off? Whether it's having no clue what to do or just one key part of the level that doesn't work, the game barely works, and what little does work is hideously designed. The next level, you're on a train. You climb to the roof. You try to climb to the roof because the game doesn't always let you get off ladders. A dead guy with a minigun just drops out of a wormhole somehow, and you have to shoot alien helicopters from the top of the train with regenerating health and infinite ammo. What should be a simple and fun turret section is ruined by distance fog that makes it difficult to see the enemy ships. You die instantly if you take a single wrong step and fall off the train, or if a train car just spontaneously explodes underneath you, and this section goes on forever. I opted to just turn on no-clip and fly around killing the helicopters like Superman, because once the game establishes that you need to cheat, you're likely to just keep on cheating from lack of give a crap. But even killing the choppers much faster than is normally possible in the game, not only did the train barely survive, but this section went on for more than 10 minutes. The walkthrough claims that you need to kill 80 of these damn things. 80! Cheese and rice, you think that's enough? But get this, apparently this level is so terribly coded you can climb to the roof, grab the minigun, and just walk back to the train's cockpit, and you win. No questions asked. This entire level is fail. Mitchell, Nick, and Sniper Guy end up in Nevada and find some new military guys to bum around with because Colonel Q and all his men died off screen, I guess. You join them to pick up supplies and survivors to head to California. You have a driving level that controls like utter shit and go to a factory to look for supplies. Now, this part is really weird. You have a fairly long cutscene introducing this guy named Boston Joe. The dude gets a ton of dialogue, and when his name is said, the game gives it the same gravitas as when you hear a superhero's name for the first time.
Mitchell, by the way.
Joe, but everyone calls me Boston Joe.
All right, Joe.
He's clearly meant to be a major character. He hangs around for this short-ass level killing zombies that's maybe a minute and a half long, and then you never see him or hear him so much as mentioned again. He doesn't even die, just poof, he's gone without a trace. Why is there an entire level built around introducing one character who's never seen again? Makes no sense. Also, this cutscene establishes that there's a gas leak and tells you that you can't use guns.
There's a gas leak that can blow half of us all the way to hell. Remember, no weapons.
And then you can use guns.
It was the other room that had the gas leak, not this one, so you're fine.
Oopsie poopsie!
I don't even know where to start with this next level. You set foot outside the factory and immediately get swarmed by tiny flying robots that explode and kill you. This could be a decent fight against interesting enemies, except there's a massive stretch of the game, from about the train onwards, where you're given next to 0 health pickups and your health doesn't recharge between levels. I'm fighting these fast, tiny suicide bomber robots while running on fumes, and a single touch kills me instantly. Eventually, I reloaded an earlier save and replayed the last few levels to get here with some more health, and that still didn't help, because a downright obscene number of them spawn and you just get swarmed. I was eventually just forced to turn on invincibility until they were all gone. You are dumped into a freaking massive level, basically an entire medium-sized town, and you are given 0 hint about where to go or what to do. I wandered around this damn level for probably half an hour trying to find some way to advance the game, wandering through one empty street, vacant lot, and empty building after another, consistently finding nothing. I stumbled across some portals that spawn enemies and grabbed the gunner truck so I could fight them off. That didn't do anything. I wandered back around trying to find anything that might— SHIT! Eventually, I cave and go to the walkthrough, like I always freaking do. For no real reason or prompting, you're supposed to go to this storage building, and for no real reason or prompting, go to the roof, where you're just instinctively supposed to know there's a sniper rifle and gunner station so you can escort a truck that you're just supposed to somehow know will come through. Why do half of the levels just assume that the player is psychic? If I were psychic, I'd have known not to play this horse shit! So I go to the roof, I find the sniper rifle and grab the gun turret, and nothing happens. The truck that's supposed to come through never appears. I found where the truck spawns, but it just sits here. The level scripting shat itself again. Trying to be logical about this, I thought maybe the game broke because I accidentally spawned and killed the portal enemies before they could attack the truck, because sequence breaking happens when the player is left to blindly guess what they're supposed to do. So I restart the level, I head straight for the roof without spawning the enemies, still nothing happens. The level scripting is completely crippled. I have no choice but to no-clip through the level exit, and even then, it took forever to find. You know, you could at least try to hide the fact that your levels have been stolen from somewhere else. Only using 10% of the map is kind of a dead giveaway that this town wasn't designed for your game. You arrive at some docks and fight these 3-legged walker enemies that spew grenades and take only slightly fewer hits to put down. These could make for interesting fights, but again, I haven't seen a health pack for a few hours and I have to reload checkpoints multiple times to survive against a single enemy. I'm also starting to notice that the game keeps dicking with my ammo. I don't know if it's between levels or from loading a save, but Mitchell seems to have spontaneously dropped about 100 sniper rounds and all of my grenades have gone missing. You head to a lighthouse, on account of it's the only place you can go, only for a combine helicopter to blow it up so you can swim to more docks. And now Exhibit B for the worst freaking level design that I've ever seen in my life. The second area of the docks is full of the triple-legged walker enemies. There's a combine helicopter thing firing at you the entire stage, and they start throwing new enemies that fire green bursts of energy that travel at light speed and deal heavy damage. I can't walk anywhere without getting killed instantly. My first instinct was to down the helicopter with my sniper rifle, but turns out the thing's immortal. I try fighting off the enemies, thinking it'll advance the stage, but I'm still at basically 0 health, and the enemies are damn near impossible to dodge. I really don't know why I'm not just using God mode. It's not like there's any dignity to be reclaimed from playing this game. After spending about 15 minutes continuously getting my ass kicked, I turned back to my walkthrough. You're just supposed to run away from these enemies without even trying to fight them. And again, through sheer freaking magic, you're supposed to instinctively know that the level exit is an invisible spot in the middle of a different, identical set of cargo containers. A set of cargo containers clear on the other side of the level that you didn't even know was there, much less have any clue that you're supposed to go there. How in the name of Lord Gaben's library of abandoned franchises are you supposed to figure that out? This goes beyond trial and error. This is trial and madness. Get your ass kicked and die over and over again until you've examined every single square inch of of the level for the 1 pixel that ends the stage! These have got to be the 2 single most poorly designed levels that I've ever seen in a video game. It's bad enough the game swamps you with overpowered enemies to where it's incredibly difficult to survive. It's bad enough the levels are huge and aren't signposted at all. It's bad enough the dev just forgot to put health pickups through a massive stretch of the game. It's bad enough the game's code is so blatantly incomplete that multiple stages are effectively unwinnable, but you're given absolutely zero guidance towards the one moon logic objective that advances any given level, prompting you to just wander around for hours, slamming your head into every surface until you make progress on accident. Valve, look at this bastardization of your flagship franchise that you've implicitly endorsed and grab a dictionary because I'm starting to think that this is a foreign concept to you. Look at this flaming dump that was taken on your legacy that you've endorsed. You looked at this and said, yep, we'll be happy to sell that. Look at this abject failure bearing your name and feel shame!